It's been a while since we've seen an ultra-fast wide-angle micro four thirds lens release. Almost a decade ago, we saw the Voigtlander's ultra-fast, the 17.5mm Nokton 0.95. It was, and still is, one of the fastest micro four thirds lenses on the market. Even faster than the newer, but more capable Olympus brilliant 17mm 1.2 Pro. My workhorse, and perhaps my favorite Olympus lens too. But in 2020, a new kit is on the block. A new ultra-fast 0.95 lens joins the party, and here it is, the Mitakon Speedmaster 17mm 0.95. I am crazy excited, and let's find out what this lens is capable of. My name is Cheng, a professional photographer and filmmaker. If you're new to this channel, it's all about, well, photography and filmmaking, with a focus on Olympus Micro Four Thirds, because I'm an Olympus ambassador too. Before I do a deep dive, please also consider subscribing to this channel, where I will share a lot of my knowledge on photography and filmmaking, both skills and philosophy, together with reviews of photographic gears and gadgets that will help you get your shots and videos. So remember to hit that bell to stay notified so you won't miss any content from me. For those who always fancied the Voigtlander 17.5mm 0.95 but held back because of its rather high price tag, well, you're in luck here, because this Mitakon is significantly cheaper than any ultra-fast 17mm focal length lenses on the market right now. Even on par with some of the alternatives like Panasonic 15 and 20mm 1.7 or the popular Olympus 17mm 1.8. Like the per gear lenses, Mitakon's pricing alone has already lubricated my wallet, and my wallet is ready to slip out. But we all know that price is not the deciding factor here, as we learned from a few of my previous cheap lens reviews. It has to at least perform, even though my expectation isn't too high to start with. Shall I do an unboxing again? You know I hate unboxing, and that's why I never really do one. You know, apart from the Olympus 12-45 f4 Pro. But Mitakon's packaging really warrants one, and just look at this box right here. It really does make you think that you just bought a Rolex watch. The black leatherette, the contrasting white stitches pronounce the significance of what's inside the box. The chrome hinge lock just gives you the impression that you are about to unveil something really special. Heck, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But anyway, the packaging is impressive. How can they do this while others can't do near half as good? Really puzzles me, especially when you consider they cost quite a bit more. Anyway, let's take this beast out. The new Mitakon is not a small, lightweight lens, all because of its full metal construction. In fact, it's a very well put together lens. It feels as good as any Zeiss ZM or Voigtlander VM lenses. With 12 elements in 9-group all-glass design, it's a fairly complicated lens too. The focusing ring is pleasantly resisted and as smooth as a baby's bottom. The aperture ring, well, is clickless, which is good for video, but still, I think it's a negative for any photographers who are accustomed to tactile feedback, so they can set things by feel rather than have to peep over everything when he or she wants to change the aperture setting. The text on the lens is, well, it's more like per gear, which is printed on and not engraved, and that perhaps is the giveaway for it as a budget lens. But overall, I'm very impressed with its build quality, especially when you factor in the cost. And that makes it one of the best built lenses in its class. Like I said, this lens isn't small or light, with an overall dimensions of 65.4mm long and a diameter of 72.7mm. It's larger than most micro four thirds lenses with the same focal length, but smaller than both the Olympus 17mm 1.2 Pro and the Voigtlander 17.5mm Nokton. is also lighter than both with a rather trim 461 gram body weight. It balances well on all Micro Four Third camera bodies apart from the smallest and lightest models. Though, because of its slightly larger footprint, it fits better with the likes of the EM1 Mark III here or similar sized bodies. This is always the most important part of this review. I know that cheap doesn't always translate into poor performance. As per Gear has proven, a cheap lens can still make good images. Well, like I said, I want to assess lenses like this the way I usually do by doing some portraits of my model friends. But this COVID thing really makes it impossible, so out of emergency, I've asked my other model friend. Well, actually, is literally a plastic model. Now, as with any 0.95 lenses, wide-open performance is not going to blow your socks off. At first glance, the image appears to be flat, low contrast, or even dreamy, with lots of fringing and chroma at extreme corners. But this is expected. It actually performs very similar to the Voigtlander Nokton, which costs more than double the price. However, upon closer inspection, this lens is what I would classify as an art lens. It's packed full of interesting characters and not too horrible. Even bokeh is quite good, like single creaminess. If you want a reference point, Olympus 17mm 1.2 Pro is triple creaminess, whether it's wide open or stopped down. Here, pay attention to the background. At 0.95, the bokeh is the softest and most pleasing. Stop to f4, the bokeh starts to change to hexagon and all 8 corners are visible. In contrast, Olympus retains the bokeh roundness all the way to f8. Vignetting is very noticeable at wide open, but soon gets better at 2.8, and eventually disappeared at f8. Fringing is very similar, with magenta outlines and high contrast areas. Overall image quality does improve significantly when you stop down the lens. At 2.8, the image already sharpens a lot, but the best spot is f8, which has a performance as good as any 17mm lenses out there. And finally, diffraction starts to kick in at around f11. The Mitakon Speedmaster is an interesting lens. With an aperture of 0.95, you get a very good light gathering with shallow depth of field and pleasing subject isolation, with a touch of cinematic quality. But is it a lens that can replace my workhorse Olympus Pro lens? No, not at all. I would prefer an AF lens for photographic work, especially with an ultra-fast and shallow depth of field lens. Not to mention that the Mitakon is not weather sealed either. Even though it's a fully mechanical lens, you really want to keep it relatively dry to avoid fungus and haze over time. But it's a lens for the bravest photographer though, those who want different visual stimulation. Personally, I think it's a lens better for videos than photos. But overall, I would recommend this lens to any photographer, even those who already own the 1.2 Pro lens, because it is a very different performer altogether, a lens that will bring your inner creativity for a wife-friendly price tag. Now, I need to get some new ND filters since I don't have any 58mm. Yeah. That's it folks, hope you like my take on the new Mitakon Speedmaster 17mm 0.95. Let me know what you think about this lens in the comment section. You know what to do now. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you love me. Peace! Okay, let's have a look at this beast here. Woo! Look at that. Look at that. Yum yum. Yum yum.